officially kick off. This is Art Viewing Adventures. I'm Rodney Paul, and I'm joined by Nikki Trasvina, my community connector with the Community Living Campaign. Nikki, tell us about our host organization.
Okay, hi everybody. So the Community Living Campaign, we're a nonprofit in San Francisco, and we're dedicated to helping seniors and people with disabilities through advocacy, through programming, either in-person programming. We have exercise programs and other programs and things like this, where people just get to enjoy the arts, enjoy sharing their writing, um, things like that. So it's a nice organization, and I missed last week's. Can I talk a little bit about that? Okay, I don't want to take up too much time from your program, but I missed last week because I was on vacation of all times when it was about the murals of the mission, which I totally adore those murals. They're all over. They're beautiful. They have history. They're a teachable moment. But what was especially touching was that Ronnie mentioned my son AJ Transvenia, and one of the murals he had worked on in the mission in 2000 when he was a kid with his brother, and AJ passed away in 2009, and he was known for being, a graffiti guy and murals and teaching, and I was just so appreciative of that, Rodney. And I wanted to say what was even more special. I was out in the Mission District passing out the No on K signs, and I ran across the Tecolote newspaper, and right on the cover is AJ's mural of all things. I was like, wow, this is a real gift from God. So it turned out that they were painting that building, that little meat store on the corner of 24th and Mission.
Oh, oh, I think we just lost uh, Nikki. So Nikki, maybe Nikki's connection may have dropped, but you guys are still hearing me, right? So we'll see. We should probably get Nikki back, but we should continue. But she was telling me, yeah, there's an article about AJ's mural. I've put that in the chat. You can check that out. Also, I'll put it, I think there's another link that we'll share that tells the story behind the mural. But let's go ahead and get started with you guys, Greta and Manu Schnetzler. You guys, I've been loving your photography for a long time, even before I knew you. I ran across their work. You guys were really well known for doing night photography. But what I really love about you guys as artists is that you're always evolving. You're always trying to do new things, and you haven't like held still. So there's like new stuff, very different stuff. And you're joined from your studio on Yosemite, was it Yosemite Place, right?
Yeah, it's Yosemite Avenue. It's 1777 Yosemite Avenue, and the name of the building is Yosemite Place.
And as we talk about your work, there's going to be a call to action. People can go and visit your studio in the upcoming open studios. And I'm going to pop up the little card that shows them, where you guys are and what the hours are. So take note of this, and maybe we'll put this in the chat also. But why don't you guys start telling us about the stuff we're going to see when we go visit you guys in your studio?
Sure. And I just mentioned also, in addition to the 3 artists showing in our studio suite, there are 16 or 17 other artists showing at our building that same weekend. So an opportunity to see a whole lot of art in one place. And we are going to be showing 3 different bodies of work, plus a lot of older stuff, old favorites, but some of our night photography, some of Manu's photos of ships on the bay, and the bay in the early morning hours when he goes out kayaking while I'm still in bed, and some of the work that we've been working on together, which involves applying gold leaf to fine art paper and then using a special coating that allows us to print photos onto that. And that's the work you see in the background mostly here.
And maybe a few bird photos as well.
Yeah,
we're turning into birders.
We have been birding and getting into that. So maybe a few bird photos. Always.
Well, you guys have been doing bird stuff for, you have that great heron, which I actually have. I love that one so much. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Now we have it in our house.
We love the shorebirds, and Manu takes a lot of photos of the water birds and the shorebirds when he's kayaking, so. But we have some other, we've been getting into other birds too, and got a new lens for photographing the birds, so we're enjoying that. So yeah, we're looking forward to Open Studios. It's always a great time to meet folks. We're having a preview reception on Friday evening, and then we'll be open 11 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday.
That's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, not this coming weekend, but the following.
Yeah.
And there will be art studios open in the southeastern section of the city all over. So check out artspan.org for information on all the other locations that have artists showing for open studios.
Including next weekend and
Next weekend and the weekend after hours.
yeah, so plenty.
Yeah, and that, I mean, there's so many great spaces for artists in that part of San Francisco. There's a Bryant Street. Is it 1890 Bryant Street? I think
1890 Bryant is this coming weekend, the 28th and 29th. So yeah, stop by, and that's a great building to see a lot of artists. We'll be trying to make it probably to their Friday night opening party. And I'm on the board of Artspan, so I like to get out and visit with the artists who are artist members and make sure their open studios are going well. So you may run into us out and about if you're out for open studios. Do you want to, the guides are in that bag if you want to show a guide.
Yeah, and there's also like an online guide, right?
There's an online guide. Everything is on, there's even more information online, but here's the printed guide. And if you want a copy of this, the big artist show at the SF Open Studios show that includes about 300 different artists is at Somarts at 9th and Brennan. So they have lots of guides. You can pick up a copy of the guide. You can cruise through and see all the artists showing on the different weekends and figure out who you want to go see.
I'm putting the website for Artspan in the
Thank
chat.
you.
Perfect.
And yeah, you know, it's like a real feast for anyone who loves art in San Francisco.
It's a special Open Studios this year because Artspan is celebrating 50 years of Open Studios in San Francisco. It's one of the oldest and biggest open studios in the country. And there is a special exhibit at the San Francisco Public Library main branch that's going on that has the whole history of open studios in San Francisco. And that's a really fun exhibit. We have one large piece. It's a piece you're probably familiar with, Rodney. It's the trailer we call Target Practice. And
yeah, let me pull that up.
Yeah, it's a set of images that were in the show at the Infinity too. So we have been doing open studios for over 20 years. It's about 24 years this year, I think. Our son is 24.
25th
Fifth year since before. So for half of the time, Open Studios has been going on. So yeah, so this image is in the show at San Francisco Public Library, and that'll be up until November 17th, I believe.
What year did you take this photograph?
2010.
I think when I first encountered you guys, I think this was one of the ones I saw at the Fort Mason.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of our first digital images that we actually showed.
Yeah.
Before that, we were doing primarily film, and we were just starting to dabble in digital. And this was a digital image that on a professional digital camera that was loaned to us by House of Black.
Now the question, you know, we always love to think about this. I like asking people without knowing the answer, but the question is always like, how was this made? Maybe we should ask people out there in the audience, like, how do you think Greta and Manu made this image? This is not a painting. This is not done with any kind of you know, you didn't do this in the dark room.
It's not a composite image, it's a single shot.
So anyone want to guess? Either put it in chat or you can unmute if you want. Yeah, Gail says colored lighting.
Yes, there is some of that involved. Good guess.
Anyone, how long an exposure that was?
I would guess it was I'm going to guess 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell. When you zoom in or when you look very close, you can see the traces of the stars as the Earth rotates. And this is about 5 minute exposure.
Wow.
Gives us a lot of time to actually go inside the image, kind of, and with different flashlight with color gels, just like Gail was saying, we light different areas of the subject. So inside we were playing with some warm colors, the orange inside and on the bushes, and then on the outside we were more on the green and the blues, so more cool colors. And this is also shot under a full moon, and so you can see the background is somewhat lit. You know, there's some light on the hills, and you can see on the left side of the trailer there's a shadow on the ground, and that's the shadow of the full moon.
The moon shadow.
Yeah,
Exactly.
No kidding. So people can go and see this image in person at the public library.
That's right.
You go in the library and you just go down the stairs, and it's in there's a really nice gallery
Called the
on
Jewett Gallery on the ground floor, the downstairs basement, kind of from, you go down from the main entrance.
yeah. And we have a copy here in the studio. We probably won't put it on the wall, but if someone wants to see it in person here, we can pull it out and show it as well.
How many images did you make that in that shoot before you like found this, like this one, and settled on this one?
I think we spent probably an hour and a half, and you know, every image takes probably 15 minutes to 10-15 minutes to compose and play with and discuss and try different things. So there's probably another couple of images that we liked of that shoot, but this is definitely the image that that worked.
And there
best.
are blooper reels
Yeah.
when you're shooting at night and digitally and doing lighting. So as Manu mentioned, we're running around in there doing lighting. And the thing about running around in there and doing the lighting is if we stay in one place too long, the camera will capture a ghost image of us. So we have to keep moving and stay out of sight, and remember not to point our flashlight toward the lens, which happens sometimes. So it can be tricky. So you gotta, it takes a while to get it right. We were really lucky. We got an image that we really liked a lot, and it resonated with a lot of people.
So it's photography, but it's also kind of, there's a choreography involved.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
It's usually called light painting. So you know there's natural light, but then we're adding light by painting on it, painting on the subject. And I saw a question about where that is. This is we were doing a 3-night workshop around Bodie on the Eastern Sierra. One night was at Bodie, and this is on the way back from shooting for several hours on the Bodie State Park. And on the way up, we saw that trailer, and we thought it would be really a really nice subject to photograph. So on the way back, we stopped and we went out. It was not quite at the edge of the little road. Was a way into the desert, and that's where we shot it.
I thought all the other night photographers coming out of the park would be out there shooting this thing, but it was just us. It was very peaceful. It was really nice desert night.
Do you think the trailer's still there?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we could go out there and
probably not in the same state. I think every year it probably changes a little bit. So Peter is asking about metal
that we print on. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Is that the question?
it looks like that is, yeah. Yeah. But how do you print on metal?
Should we show?
Let's show some of the metal prints.
Yeah.
We're going to flip our camera around and show some of the metal prints now.
So here's our studio and our studio dog here hanging out with us, Mishla. So a lot of the prints we do, especially at night, we like to have them printed on metal. So it's a very, very thin sheet of metal here that's raised from the wall a little bit, and it's really and then it's finished with a really high gloss coating that protects it from UV light, and then we like it in particular when it's very colorful images like this one, or some of the ship images here, where there's a lot of colors and a lot of contrast, and it really works well, we think, with that type of image. And it's just there's no glass on it, there's no frame, it's just the image, and it really pops the colors very well.
You want to show the church one over there?
Sure. That's a lot of reflection maybe on this. No, I guess
No,
it's
it's
okay.
pretty good.
Oh,
You can see
that's
the
good.
star trails there. And that is even longer exposure than the trailer of that. What, about 20 minutes?
Yeah, half an hour maybe.
Yeah. So that was in Greece.
As opposed to this.
In the church one, what's the source of the light? Is this like a light that they have on the church?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ambient light in the little village there.
Yeah, in this case, we didn't add any artificial lights with flashlights like we did on the trailer.
And why is it repeated? What made that image repeat like that?
It's two.
Oh no, it's just
Two
two
towers.
two towers of the.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's really what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's kind of surreal, I would say.
Yeah, that's often what happens at night. You really see shapes differently. You don't have the full context sometimes.
And Paco, by the way, said earlier that it's just like he loves the brilliant colors
Great.
of your photographs, and that he finds this surreal also.
Thank you. Yeah, this is another night on the same
That one
island.
does have a lot of reflection. There
Yeah,
we
it's
go.
kind of hard to
It
tell.
kind of looks, the reflection kind of looks cool, actually.
So
Yeah.
this has the Milky Way in the background.
Yeah.
So when we're shooting like celestial night sky, it is a shorter exposure. So you don't get the stars blurred, you get the stars as pinpoints of light.
Yeah, I mean, see if I can get a little closer. You can see the stars here,
Oh, there's even more reflection.
but there's so many stars.
And that little blurry object right there, the little oval object, is
Yeah.
the Andromeda Galaxy.
Oh. So we get a good sense of it, but the reflection kind of, I think,
Yeah,
is
it's
making.
Try-
So
I'm-
Come see
Is
it
this
in
in?
person.
Is it in one of those books that
yes, I
Yes,
think
it
this one is.
Yes, you can pull it
let me
up.
find that in the book.
Yeah. You wanna switch back to the.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna share the image from the book, but I think what we're letting you guys know out there is it's great to see these images in the Zoom program and talk about them, but you really want to go to their studio and see it in person,
I
because
agree.
it's going to be a different experience. It's a richer experience. But yeah, this is okay. So we get a good sense. Oh yeah, and then where's this is the one? No, where's the one
No,
with the galaxy?
The next page, maybe. There
Yeah,
you go.
there
So
you
there's
go. It's
two
the
of
one
them
on the
with,
left.
That's not the one on the left, actually. It's a
No,
different one,
it's
but
a different one.
very close.
Very close.
You can see the Milky Way really well, and I think on the left one, the kind of bright little looks like a star. I think this is Andromeda Galaxy right in the middle there.
And is this also a long exposure?
So those are shorter than the ones where you see the trace of the star. So this is maybe about 30 seconds.
Uh-huh.
After that, you start seeing the trail, the star trails.
Because would we see that, especially those galaxies, would we actually see that with the naked eye, or is it really the camera is able to see that because of the longer exposure?
Yeah, so there on that island where there's not much light pollution, you can see the Milky Way very well, and you can see Andromeda as a little spot. The camera does bring up more of the stars, but this is this is visually what you see, with maybe a little less detail when you see it with your own eyes.
So it's a combination of being in a place with very little light pollution.
I know.
So even less light pollution than we'd find like in the Sierras?
Probably about the same, because you see the light on the left side of the windmill there on the left. This is from the little town right next to it. So there is some light pollution, but it's not as bad as in the big city.
Yeah, I mean, I first came to know you guys as night photographers. It's so interesting to me that you guys created these amazing night images, but you are curious enough that you want to move into other areas.
Yeah,
What is it?
There's
Yeah.
just so much that, photography is so rich and the history of photography is so rich that there's always something new to explore.
And you guys are adventurous. I mean, there are people who stay kind of do similar things. I mean, even Ansel Adams. Well, that's not true. I guess Ansel Adams had a range of work, and we saw that at the DeYoung not long ago. But still, I think you guys have more range than he did.
Well, so maybe you want to talk a little
Yeah.
bit about the metal, I mean, the prints on gold
The
leaf.
prints on gold leaf. So what
Yeah.
got us started with the prints on gold leaf
But
was
there we go.
we were invited by this gallerist who has this show up, and this show is up through Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Through Saturday. And we just did an artist talk this past weekend about the work. But what got us started was this gallerist does a show every year called 48 Pillars. And it's a interesting show because the format is 12 by 48 vertical, and he challenges artists to do something new and different and push themselves to do something different. So we had never done the work on gold leaf before. I'd been interested in trying it, but had never done it. And so we did, oh yeah, there's one in that format. So we had
I don't know if you can see that.
Should I stop sharing? Maybe that makes it,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
people they'll see you a bit bigger.
So that gives you an idea of the scale of those pillars, 12 by 48 inches. And this is one of the prints on metal.
So we had been doing some botanical work and with a macro lens really close up. So the plant that's based on is just tiny. So it's a very close up photo of a small plant. And so we wanted to render it large and make it look really special. And he wanted us to do it in a way that created like a unique art object. So we did this, and it was very well received, and he invited us back, and we did 16 of the prints on gold leaf for the follow-up exhibit the following year. And then he invited us back more recently to do the 4 that are in this that you had up a little while ago. You can put those back up, Rodney.
Yep.
So this series is called Superpowers of the Natural World. And they're smaller pieces. The image is small, but the subject matter, of course, is huge and massive in scale, which we kind of liked the how that worked, like these very kind of large scale subject matter and a very small, intimate piece of work. And these are 24 karat gold on a very nice fine art paper. And then we put a special coating that lets us print those in the digital printer. So they're digital images, but they have this handmade aspect, and you can see a lot of the process details, the texture of the gold leaf, and the texture of the coating that comes through in the print. So they almost look like antique photos. Some people have said they look like antique scientific illustrations. And so we've been enjoying the look that comes with those. In these, when we frame them, you can't see here in the catalog, but we left the raw edges of the gold leaf to show the process even a little bit more. I can show you one that's here in the studio that
Yeah, let's see that.
make the cut, but you can see so you can see the mat is the kind of rough edges that are the end of the gold leaf.
So it looks like, is it what did they do in the 19th century? Was it daguerreotype that was on gold? Or is that, they did.
Yeah, daguerreotype was.
That was on some on metal, but not on gold.
Or maybe on silver.
It's I guess it's somewhat related, but a different process.
So like that was a very one of the first processes of photography, and here you are using a very modern process to kind of get the same effect, I would say.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we're kind of mixing modern and old techniques and manual, putting the gold leaf on the paper. It's very manual process, and then we're preparing it and printing it at a high-end digital printer. So it is a mix of different techniques.
So is it you guys who adhere the gold leaf to the paper, or does it come that way?
That's my job.
Oh wow, that sounds really hard.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's very meditative. It's gilding, so it is an ancient technique. I have some tools that are, kind of tools that have been used by gilders for many, many years. And it is very thin, and you have to be very careful not to have a breeze or anything when you're working, because it flies everywhere. But it looks really beautiful. So you apply it and then you burnish it, and it gives the shine and the texture, which is really nice.
It just seems very fitting for San Francisco to have these, these gold images, because gold is so associated with our city. Have collectors talked about that? Like, oh yeah, this is just like a great way to pay homage to our city.
No, that's interesting. That's a good point.
Well,
And
yeah,
the state as well.
I have in
States.
mind to do one of the Golden Gate.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
And I maybe will apply for the San Francisco General Hospital has the Hearts in the City, where artists create the hearts and then they're auctioned off. So maybe next year we'll apply and see if we can make one of these images on the with gold leaf on one of the 3-dimensional hearts. That'll be
Is it kind of risky though? Is it like hard to work with because maybe one wrong step and you like have to start all over again? Like what's that like?
Yeah, no, the printing is challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I think on putting the gold leaf on the paper, you can make mistakes and you can reapply, and actually, I think the mistakes make it more, someone's been working with their hands on it, and I really like that. The print, the
human touch.
The printing itself is a little. It's a little tricky. It took a bit of work to figure out how the printer what the settings should be and how to handle the paper, because it's not really completely flat like a regular sheet of paper. So that took a bit of work, and then there's still some times where I screw up, and then I wasted all of Greta's work on
it's a lot of hours to create one piece of paper to print. So
it's a stressful step for me.
Yeah, but it's also, I always think like the things that are hardest in life are the things that are the most valuable. And if it was easy, it wouldn't mean as much,
I mean, I think back to the darkroom days, and it was the same thing. To get one really good print, it was hours of work in the darkroom. And so this is very similar to that, which I think is why I like it, getting back to kind of a handmade process.
So you guys have been doing this, and so let's talk about like when we go, like we see these images here on the screen, but what's the experience when we see them in person? How is it different?
It's hard to see the luminosity of the gold when you're seeing them on the page, printed on a page. So they really glow. They look lively with the light. They change with different light or from a different angle. So you're really seeing that luminescence of gold, just like a piece of gold jewelry, or a gilded gold statue or something. You see the reflection from the metal underneath the print, and it really changes with the light.
And there's really a depth to it, I think, as well, that you don't see on the printed on the paper here, where there's different layers that compose the final print, and you can really, when you're in front of it and move around, you really see those different the depth of the image in the print.
Yeah, my friend Rob Tad is always talking about how we see these images, like we think of them that they're images, but they're three-dimensional objects.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's not a like it's not a big, like it's not big in that one dimension, it still is three-dimensional.
That's right.
Now,
Uh,
is fusion, is that an eclipse that
That is
image comes from?
annular eclipse.
No, it's a total eclipse.
I thought it was annular.
It's a total.
It was the eclipse that was up in Oregon. We went up to Oregon yet in 2017.
Yeah, I went to that one. We were supposed to go to the more recent one, and COVID unfortunately
Yeah.
stopped our plans. But that's a wonderful eclipse image.
Yeah, we have another eclipse image from that trip that's over here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Oh, he'll bring it over. It's a small one. So this is a composite image of the entire sequence from the eclipse. You got a pretty big reflection on
Lots of
there.
reflection.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So again, people need to go in person to your studio.
But
And is it printed? Is this printed on metal also?
this is
That's
printed
right.
on metal
So-
also.
It's good occasion to show you the back. So we have them put a little what do you call that?
Hanging plate.
A plate, and it's raised a little bit, and that gives back to your comment about the dimensionality of images. This, when you raise it a bit from the wall, it brings another dimension again to the image.
Yeah.
This is series of photos taken at regular intervals, and then the middle one is during the totality of the eclipse, but the others are taken with a really very strong filter, because it has, I mean, you cannot really look at the sun without filter, and it's the same for the camera. It needs a really strong filter to tone down the image, and you can see, you know, right before the totality, it's a very thin crescent, and then after the totality again, or I think it started from the top here, went down. Is it in morning? I can't remember now. But yeah, so it's a series of many images, and then I stack them to show the trajectory of the sun as it's being eclipsed by the moon.
So this is another one we'll want to see in person for sure. It's up. It'll be up on the wall, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll look for that. Oh, I had a question about the I don't know if you use the same printer for the gold leaf that you use for the other things you print on
The
metal.
metal ones, we use a professional printer because it has that hard UV coating that's applied, and we just can't work with those materials with our regular printer. So we've been working with the same printer for 20 plus years. They're down in Santa Cruz, and Scotts Valley near Santa Cruz, and they're just amazing, and they work really well with artists. They work with a ton of artists, and they are just really committed to making it right and making sure that the print reflects our vision of the image, and the color balance and everything is correct. So we really enjoy working with them. It's a great partnership with them.
I know people don't think about that there's a relationship between like printers and artists. It was something that came up when we did our classic rock posters program, where there was an image that just like, it kind of had a lot of movement, and the printer called up the artist and said, "This thing's kind of moving. Are you sure you want that?" He's like, "Yeah, I really want that." You know, you do have to have like shared vision, I think.
Do you want to mention that one too?
Oh, yeah. So for the Artspan auction, because it was the 50th anniversary and they wanted something with a gold theme, I'm going to turn the camera around so I can get up close to it. We actually, for the very first time, had one of our photographs translated to a tapestry. So this is a photographic image that through an electronic process is hanging there. Through an electronic process is translated into a tapestry with actually Lurex gold threads instead of the gold leaf that we use for our printing on paper. So this is the same image that's up there is translated into a tapestry.
So We're looking at fabric right now. We're
You're
not looking at,
fabric. I'll zoom in. You can see the
wow.
weave of the fabric. It's a jacquard tapestry technique. And these are some master weavers in North Carolina that do this process. And they work with artists, different kinds of artists too. So some people have their paintings translated. Some people do photographs. One woman does her mixed media stuff, and then she adds ribbons and embroidery and things to the image once it's converted to tapestry. But it's pretty fun. We made a couple of those. So we made one and it was auctioned off for Artspan benefit. And then we made the second one, and I think we may have a buyer for it. I'm not sure it's going to be here for Open Studios. We'll see.
Yeah, by the way, Gail commented earlier on the eclipse sequencing. That was really cool. And she also really likes what this tapestry. Kind of cool that it's like a new medium for you guys, right?
Yeah. It was again, when we're have some special occasion to really think about how can we do something new and different, something special. So it was fun. It went for a really good price at the auction, so it raised a lot of money for Artspan, and we were really happy about that.
Yeah, and it's probably a good time to mention that you guys have just been very involved with Artspan for a while. I think you're on the board.
I'm on the
Am I
board
right?
now, yeah.
And we're just so lucky to have Artspan as an organization in our city. Because the artists, it's exciting for the art viewers, and it's really important for the artists because it gives them a way to show their work, and it's just like a big celebration.
Yeah, it really is dedicated. The whole mission of the organization is to uplift artists in San Francisco and help them make a go of making their art here and keep the art scene alive and lively in San Francisco.
Yeah, because we have so much talent. I think we've seen it with some of those the D Young Open, that has been very impressive. But you guys have does Artspan have the gallery south of Market that people can go to?
And so there's a huge it's at 9th and Brennan. It's at the Somarts Gallery, which is a really nice big space. And there are over 300 pieces of art there right now. And those will be up all the way through Open Studios. So
and what do you guys have up there?
we have a big pink. No, we didn't do the pink ship. It's one of the other.
Yeah,
one of the back of the ships that I showed earlier. So just go back. I don't think it's here. It's not here, but it's one of the same series as those guys here.
Yeah, and I've got the book. You've got some in the book, right?
Yeah, it's
there you go.
It's in the book. Yeah.
So it's not this one. It's not this. It's the Mirja on the right.
Yeah, it's that one on the right.
So I've always loved these, and I always you've told me before, Manu, but tell me again, what's it like to you're in a kayak and you're getting near these really big ships to get these photographs. So what's that like? And what are there risks involved?
So those ships are anchored, so I know that they're not moving, other than they're moving with the tide. So every time the tide changes, they automatically move 180 degrees. And
around their anchor.
So that's so you can always tell which way the tide goes in or out. If it goes in or out, you look at which way the big ships are facing, and they're always facing the incoming tide. So when I go out, I know that especially in the morning, early in the morning, there's not too much going on, but I always pay attention to the small boats that move around, because those ships don't go out or in by themselves. There's always a pilot boat from the San Francisco Pilot Association.
Yeah.
That will come on board of the ship to pilot it in or out of the bay. So as long as I don't see any of those small boats, I know that none of those big ones are going to move. So there's maybe more risk when when a ferry comes around, you know, there's always a wake behind it, so I have to be a little careful about that. But and when it starts getting windy and when it gets more when the waves start moving on the bay, then you have to be a bit more careful. But I'm typically out there around a little after 6 in the morning, and there's usually not too much wind at that time, and I can go out next to those boats. I know that they're not moving, or if they're moving with the tide, then it's pretty slow, and I know which way they go.
He also has a marine radio.
I have a marine radio, and then have the wetsuit. Thanks, Nikki. So you know, but I go right against them. I touch them sometimes. It's like it's being under it. You know, if you look at the one on the left there, I'm probably not taller than the red part of the boat there.
Yeah.
So when you're right under it, it's a mountain above you. It's just like a huge building right above you. It's an impressive piece of machinery that you're really dwarfed by.
I would think that like some of the maritime companies like Matson would want some of these photographs. Have you ever been approached by people who are in that world?
Yeah, in fact, so when I started posting on Instagram, I started getting a lot of people following me who are ship enthusiasts, and then some of the, like you say, Maersk and one which is the pink ships. And some of those are following me, and
They've reposted on their Instagram.
I also had the port of San Francisco reach out to me one year, and they say, "Oh, we're putting a calendar every year, and we love one of your photos. Would it be okay to put it in there?" And I said, "Yeah, of course, no problem." And then they came back a few days later and said, "Actually, we like 4 of them. Can we put 4 of their photos in our calendar?" So that was really that was fun, exciting. So yeah, there's a community out there. There's a lot of communities like that are very specialized, and a lot of I met some people in San Francisco who are watching the boats or taking photos of the boats, and I actually put together a little show last year at Farley's coffee shop on Potrero Hill, with where I invited 3 other photographers who do photos of ships to show with me, and each of them had a bit of a different view of the ships. One is taking photos from high up in his apartment building near the Bay Bridge. I can't remember the name of the building. One of the tall ones. Not
the Yerba Buena Islands.
No, on our side, on San Francisco side.
Salesforce, maybe?
No, it's an apartment building, so it's
like one of those thin ones right near the highway, right?
Yeah,
that's right. So he's taking photos from up there, and another friend photographer takes photos from a drone. So he had photos of the ships from drone, and then the last one is actually a tugboat captain, and so he's taking photos from the tugboats of the ships and of the bay. So it was really a fun show, and it was nice to meet people, you know, who are enthusiasts and do some good photography as well.
I'd love to see those other photographs, but I have to say I really wonder if I don't see how anything could be better than this, because you know, you just have like the composition of the one like on the left, you know, the symmetry, you know, the way it's like, I don't know, how do you get it like perfectly centered and aligned like that? That must be really hard.
There's some back and forth, so you know, it takes me sometimes. The wind pushes me or the tide pushes me, so I had to come back and realign. So it takes a bit of work, but you know, you get there.
Yeah, he's on a kayak that's moving around.
Yeah. And at night, you know, taking photos at night on the kayak can be tricky. So the one on the right is just before sunbreak. There's not a huge amount of light. So, but you know, you learn the first few times. I didn't do very well, and as you go back out and try again, and that's practice. That's photography is a lot of it is practice and knowing the equipment, knowing what you can expect from it, so it comes with practice.
Yeah, repetition is the key to mastery.
That's right, exactly.
Now, the other thing I'll say is, when I look at these pictures, I just can't help wondering, like, what's inside of those containers, right? Like our whole world is based on these containers moving around, and we can look at this ship, and there could just be anything in there, right?
Yep, it could be your next iPad, or and also on the bay sometimes there's the vehicle carriers, which have different shape than the container ships, which carry up to 6,000 cars, and sometimes you have on some of the piers you can see the cars waiting to be loaded onto those boats. And I have a photo that I took from a drone right above of a whole bunch of Teslas. And you can see, I mean, they're all exactly the same from above, except for the color. It's like this geometric pattern that's just amazing. So yeah, you're right. We don't know what's in there, but this, around the pandemic, there was a lot of disruption of the chain, and so that's when there were the most container ships on the bay. I think at one point there were more than 20 of them sitting there in the middle of the bay waiting to be unloaded at the port of Auckland.
I think the other thing that's really interesting is the ships are all registered to different cities. So the one on the left, you see Valletta, that is in Malta, and let's see, the one on the right is Monrovia, and
it's Africa.
Yeah. And if you page through, you'll see all of them have different cities. So I think there's some romance there to all the different cities around the world these ships are registered and come from, and the coming and going, and what's in them, and all of that. It's so I think there's just layers of stories there that just makes it really intriguing.
So you go out early in the morning, and what time do you get back, Manu, when you go on one of these excursions?
I usually stay out there 2 hours or so. So I'm back before 9, and I can get to my desk and work for the rest of the day at my day job. So that's my before work outing. It's my exercise and meditation and photography little break. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, but what a great way to start your day,
Absolutely. And every time I go out, some mornings I don't really feel like getting up at 5:30, but I always do, and every time I never regret being out on the bay. It's always different. The light is always different. The conditions are different, and I see the wildlife and the city life and the ships. So there's lots going on out there, and it's such an unusual view of the bay where we all see those ships from the bridge or from a distance, but seeing it backwards, looking at the city from the middle of the bay is just really nice and very different.
When did you take your very first ship photograph? Like, did you have the idea, I'm going to do this, or were you just kind of like looking around, you're like, wait a second, that might be a great subject?
It took me so I started going out kayaking in about 4 years ago, I think, at least
a little before the
pandemic. And for a while I would just stay close to shore, and then one day the water, like on the right, was so calm and glassy, and I thought, yeah, those ships are not that far away. I can probably make it out there and check them out. So it just happened, and once you're next to those ships, you have to take photos. It's just so I usually go around the ship once and take the ship from different angles. The ones from the front I also like. We don't have any. Well, we might have a few in there as well.
Yeah, there is the pink one that's.
Yeah, there's three of them from the front, which is again a totally different view of them. But
Is that in this book?
Yeah,
yeah.
just, I think if you keep, let's see, is it for there or is it?
so those are also taken from the kayak.
Some of them.
Most of them, yep. Yeah, okay.
That one was taken from
Yeah.
the shore. I think the ship
I
one
think it's
is
probably near the end of
near the
the
end.
book.
Okay, let me go the other way.
Yeah.
By the way, I just, it's so fun to talk to you guys about this stuff. And then I just noticed stuff like, look how he has the Bay Bridge like split with the ship in the middle.
Yeah.
That's like, this is the western span, this is the eastern span. That had to make you really happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes it's happy coincidence that you can get that.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I love the big pink one on the right.
With the city underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also the best light, right around sunrise, right before and after sunrise, when you have the best light. Just that's, yeah, so the one on the left I think is the very first ray of light, and then the one on the right still dark.
But even before you started kayaking, we took some ship photos over in Alameda.
That's
The
right.
Hornet, the old naval aircraft carrier that's
I know that.
docked over
Yeah.
Alameda. We had taken some
That's right.
photos at night of that ship, which we really liked a lot, and we had taken photos at the Maritime Museum. Audrey,
We have a question from Audrey. Like, tell us about the book. Is this a book people could get? I know is it on your website? Or is it just something you?
Yeah, if you go on our website, there's a link to both of those books. They're actually catalog from the shows we were in.
and you can order them from Art Gallery.
Yeah.
They do sell them.
Going up and finding your web address, basically. Oh, that's the wrong one. It's Schnetzler. Is it schnetzler.com?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, and people, you should go to their website and just you'll have a lot of fun looking at their stuff there.
There's just one page on the website.
But it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
our Instagram is where Manu posts his newest ship photos, and we post some recent photos of travels. We were in the Azores, and so we have some photos that we're working on.
Yeah.
Starting to post some of those.
Now, this one, Lonely Hunter, is the one I get to see all the time because it's at my house, and I just love it. But you said you're going to be doing more bird photography.
Yeah, I mean, we have a whole collection of bird photography, but we haven't printed that many. There's a lot of them on Instagram, so we've been posting a lot. But there's a small collection that I want to print for the show of a crow. And then we'll see maybe some others.
I think we have a small one of a hummingbird that's framed that'll be here. We have smaller pieces too. You're seeing a lot of larger pieces on the wall, but we always have a lot of smaller pieces for open studios.
I don't think we're not seeing anything from your end.
There we are.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see your bird photography. That is a lot of people do bird photographs, but I have a feeling you guys will put a very unique touch on it because you always do. So that'll be exciting. What else? Are there other subjects that do you sometimes go out and then just there's some brand new thing that tackles your fancy? And
well, I have a separate Instagram account that is I photograph things that I find on the street, mainly stuffed animals, plush animals. It's called my Instagram is Studio Isolde. Can you it's just I call the series Just Another Victim. And so the stuffed animals are kind of stand-ins for the misfortunes of people. And so there's a poignancy to these abandoned or lost stuffed animals on the street. And that's what I'm trying to capture. And like Manu said, you know, we've tapped into a whole other subculture of folks who take photographs of found objects on the street. And so that's kind of fun. I would like to do an exhibit someday of stuff called Found on the Ground by photographers who take photos of found objects.
I'm going to share this, I think, so folks can see it. Well, I always really love talking to you guys about this stuff because I'm just naturally curious, and I think the directions you take things in are ones that always interest me. Also, I think it's really special that the two of you work together. You know, that's I can't imagine there's a lot of other photographers that work that way. Do you know other couples that do photography together?
In the history of photography, there are
There's
quite a few.
yeah.
And then more recently, we've known some folks who work together pretty closely. So
Yeah, it's not frequent, that's for sure, but and I think people work differently together. For us, I think I'm more the computer guy,
the gearhead.
the gearhead. But and then depending on the project, there's a different balance of how much each does or what they do. But yeah, it's always fun.
And the night photography is probably the most collaborative because we're both working on lighting and envisioning and thinking. And we are constantly talking about ideas about things, new series to do or new things to try. And we like to go back and, you know, mine our work for new ideas and work that we might not have looked at closely before, or that we might want to pick up and start another series or focus on or present in a different way.
Well, I'm looking forward to like continuing to follow you guys. It'll be great to see your studio. So I'm definitely planning to do that. In fact, let me go and pull up the one last time the card that tells people when they can be coming to visit you guys. So the address is 1777 Yosemite Place, which is in the Bayview section of San Francisco, close to 3rd Street, right?
Yeah, it's west of 3rd Street, just a couple of blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a reception on Friday, October the 4th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. You get to look at the photographs and maybe there's a little wine and cheese and stuff like that there.
Sure. In fact, our studio mate, Emily Dash, here, her parents are winemakers, and they'll share some of their good wine with us and with our visitors.
So if you can make that, that's really great. Otherwise, there's going to be things going on Saturday and Sunday of that weekend. I think I'm probably likely to come by Sunday.
Great. Seeing you.
And let's see. Any last thoughts from you two?
No, I thank you for inviting us. It's always fun to share our work, and you're a good how do you say DJ or no
interviewer.
Yeah, but only because I love your work, and you know, I can't, if it's an artist that I don't really connect with, it's probably not what I should be doing. But I've always really found your stuff really engrossing. I'm really curious. I'm kind of, I think I'm selling myself on getting one of those boat photographs. Maybe those are just amazing.
They're really
Michelle, excuse me. It was my pleasure to see you both.
Oh, thank
great
you.
to see you
Good to
back.
see
The
you.
artworks.
Thanks.
And we're really pleased to have you guys back, because we had you guys a couple of years ago, and we definitely will want to keep track of your future endeavors.
Yep.
So thanks, Greta and Manu, for coming on Art Viewing Adventures.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you,
Rodney.
everybody.
Thanks everyone for showing up.
Yeah, and I want to turn it back to Nikki. Nikki got a little cut off in the beginning. So Nikki, do you want to just share a couple more thoughts about Latino Heritage Month, which is going on right now? in the mural that we were talking about.
Great to see you, Rodney.
Yes.
Thanks, Paco.
Thanks, Brandy. Yeah, it's Latino Heritage Month. We're in the heart of it. So go enjoy the murals, especially AJ's mural. It's at 24th and Harrison. It's the Aztec love story, similar to Romeo and Julieta. And it's been restored. So it's almost like looking at it brand new. And I hope you enjoy that. We'll be back when October 14th and October 28th. Yeah. Oops, you turned off your mic. Yeah, so we'll be back for those, and we hope you attend again. And thank you so much for you guys coming and showing us those beautiful representations of the cargo ships. I just absolutely love that. You
Thank you,
know,
Nikki.
it's so representative of San Francisco and the labor struggle and the ILWU union and the strike of 1934, and what made San Francisco a union town was those ships and those men that worked at them at that time. So it's very, very meaningful. Thank you.
One of our neighbors.
Reminds me about the Balikbayan box too.
Yeah, good to see you all, especially Paco.
Yeah, Paco, great
Paco.
having you. Great. Well, I'll turn it back to you, Nikki. What's coming up next on Community Living Campaign?
Oh, just what I announced, your event's coming up on the 14th and the 28th of October. That's when
But we got my friend Richie Unterberger tonight talking about George Harrison some more, I think.
Yeah.
Wanna listen to that, Rodney?
So that we got that to look forward to.
Good,
But
good.
great. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Thank you.
We're signing off from Art Viewing Adventures. See you in 3 weeks.
Okay,
Bye.
Thanks so
Take
much.
care.
Talk soon.
Good night,
Okay,
Rodney.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.